The absolute best thing that I did this year in 2024 was travel. This was the year I finally got away from the culture that I've been so accustomed to for like 4 or 5 years since COVID hit. I'd only been to Spain twice with my family and my friends on 2 different trips, and then before that, I'd had time away from traveling. And then this year, I went finish university and get yourself to Southeast Asia, and that's where I went. And today, I'm going to sort of break down where I went, what I did, and sort of just how it molded me and how it sculpted my life for hopefully the next year, because that's sort of what we're going for. We're going for 2025. The goals this year. I started in Vietnam, start of September, and because it was my first time sort of traveling out of the norms of Europe or something like that. I've been to America, of course, but out of the norms of like normal culture in Asia, Vietnam, it was a massive culture shock for me. And because it was my first place on the trip, I sort of didn't know the hacks, I didn't know the tricks, I didn't know how to operate, I didn't know the manners that I would get back from the locals. But obviously, you've got to do that when you go traveling. You've got to step out your comfort zone, and that's what I did. Vietnam, what a country! Definitely go if you have the opportunity. I started in Hanoi. Oh my god, it was so hot there. Sometimes when I was into the main square of Hanoi, where the big lake is, I was literally on the edges of passing out, and I was like, "Oh God, this is terrible." And then, sort of as the trip continued from Hanoi, I was like, "Imagine if every day is like Hanoi, boiling hot, horrible, like just too polluted and humid for me." And then throughout the trip, the further south we got, the better it got. But the two places where I would probably say, you know what, it weren't for me. It was the two cities, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. I wasn't a huge fan. The other little places in between, Phong Nha, I became the duck leader for the day. I fed some ducks. I got to hold a duck. It was just like a mental, like, how am I here situation. And I was. And then obviously you've got other places. Further south, you've got Hue, where me and Harry, who I travelled with, we met our first friend of the trip, and this was about 10 days in. So it sort of took us 10 days to sort of build up the sort of travelling courage to sort of just finally step out of our comfort zone and talk to people. And yeah, we met Gecko from one of the hostels. He was working there. He was from New Zealand. He was a traveller. He was working there, and it was great. He sort of took us around the places, and we sort of finally felt that we were travelling 10 days in. And then further down south, we got just other places that I just really enjoyed. Da Nang, we just had a chill day. That was great. And then one of my favourite places, and not just for like the sights, because really it wasn't the best place to visit. However, if we didn't go, we would never have met Alan and Lucio, the two boys from Stuttgart, and it just made my whole trip. I was like, this is fantastic, boys. Like, and then we found out that they were going to be in Thailand when we were there, and we were like, sweet. So then we linked up with them later down the trip. Obviously, there was a storm when I was there as well, which meant that I couldn't do the Haijiang loop, which would have been just awesome. So when I go back to Vietnam, because I've got stuff to do there, like the Haijiang loop, I've got to go back. So that is the plan. I'll be back to Vietnam to do the Haijiang loop. Then there's a place that we weren't initially going to go to, Cambodia. And me and Harry were sort of like saying, will we have more time in other places? So then we went, do you know what? Let's just go. So we got on the overnight bus, which was horrible. We got into Phnom Penh at like 5 p.m. straight on a pub crawl, and I was like, do you know what? I absolutely love it here. Got on the pub crawl in Phnom Penh, had a great night, met some people that we met in Vietnam, and I was like, oh, we're on the same route. Because what you get at traveling, people are on the same route, and then you sort of see them again, you're like, sweet. It's like you've already met them, so like you know what they're about. You don't have to, like I said yesterday, make a pre-assumption of what they're going to be like, because you've already met them. So you know if they're a good egg or a bad egg, and then it's just a good triple round. Further in, we got to Koh Rong, an island after Phnom Penh. I met this Polish couple, and it was just brilliant. Every night we were doing shots. Obviously, you got to be safe for the shots out there and stuff like that. I had the shots, had the big towers of beer. That was good fun. Pub quizzes, pub crawls along the beach, night swimming, boat party. just brilliant all round. There was not a day that failed that day. Like, I could have stayed there my whole life. Honestly, it was just so chill. You were sort of out of the way from the world. It was just brilliant. Then we went further up north to Siem Reap. I met Bob, the boy Bob, what a legend. I still keep in contact with all these people now, because you know what? When you make people friends for traveling, you're friends for life. Like, you've done the same thing, you've been in the same places, they've got the same stories as you because you were there. Yeah, so then I went to Siem Reap. I saw the eighth wonder of the world, Angkor Wat. I didn't even know what it was, and then obviously it's on their flag, and I was like, right. And I found out it was the eighth wonder. I was like, do you know what? That is like, there was places I wanted to go on to this trip, and that wasn't even on there. So to go to the eighth wonder was just unbelievable. Then so Cambodia, like, would I go back? Yes. Would I go over Vietnam? Yes. However, I still got places to see in Vietnam, and I feel like I have done Cambodia again. I have already completed Cambodia, but I would definitely go back because it was just me. Like, I was all over it. And then the main bulk of the trip, 1 month, I did a whole month in Thailand, starting in Phuket. Only way to describe Phuket was that it was wet. It rained every day I was there, and it was just like, whoa. I did get on the back of the motorbike for the first time, and I was pooing it. I was like, you know what? Imagine if I fall off it, and it'd be horrible. But I didn't. I still haven't driven one because I haven't got a license, and I still don't really trust myself, especially in a foreign country. You obviously got to be careful with stuff like that. You see people walking around Thailand all cut up, bruised, and you're like, that. I don't want it to be me. Positive Phuket though. I met John and Joe, the Canadian boys, absolute legends. You won't meet two people wanting to drink more than they did, and it was just sort of the perfect two people to meet. It's sort of just they perfectly met me and Harry in the middle of like the fun we were going to try and have, and then we sort of just made a super group for the whole of Thailand. And it was like, do you know what? Wow! Like, everywhere we went, they were there. We were getting hammered. We were going to the pub crawl. We were going to the parties. We were on the boats, and then we got to see all like the daytime stuff, all the trips as well. And then, you know what? I'm so blessed to have met them, because then you continue chatting to them throughout the year. You know, wishing Merry Christmas. You see some of them are still traveling, exploring the world, and you're like, I'm so happy I met you, because you never know, you might meet them again in the future. The main part of the Thailand trip for me is that one of my bucket list spots was my bay. A boat trip off the Phi Phi Islands for the day, and on the 8th of October, I did that, and I was like, wow, it was literally everything I thought it would be. Obviously, from the beach to film with DiCaprio, and I was at my bay, and I was like, this is literally, I'm not disappointed in the slightest. It's just fantastic. A couple of days after that, I was at the full moon party in Koh Phangan. I got too drunk. However, I've seen now with the higher levels of tourism in high season, obviously I went in low season, but the high season one, the full moon party, looked chaos with just so many travellers in the high season there. When I was there, so it was obviously, you got the overpriced booze and you don't really want to buy them, but then you've obviously got the it's slightly quieter, still busy, because everyone is going to the island of Koh Phangan for that one day in the whole month. No one else is really going out any other day. It's quite kind of dead. But if you're going when I went, which would have been the 18th of October, absolute chaos. So it wasn't my favourite part of all time. However, it was a party that you couldn't really miss, so I had to do that. Samui was just before that. I met up with the two German boys again, and then they brought their new friend over, Sammy. So it was Lucio, Alan, and Sammy. We were a good laugh, stayed in a few hostels together, travelled from two locations of each other. Me and Harry played foot golf in Samui. I got a hole in one. So it's not golf, but it's foot golf, so I take it. And then towards the end of the trip, we went to the floating bungalow village in Khao Sok. I had no idea about it until I was even in Thailand, because a lot of the trip, you sort of plan it when you're traveling around. So you sort of just like, you know you're going north to south in Vietnam. You know you're going south to north, or north to south of Cambodia. You know you're going to the southern islands in Thailand. And then if you have time to go up to Chiang Mai Park, you didn't. So that is another place I need to go to. If you know that where you're going, you sort of have the route. You just tick off all the islands in a circle or up and down. So I did a Koh Sak National Park in South Thailand, just off Phuket, and it's just excellent. Like, there's no service, there's nothing. All it is floating bungalow, some Chang beers, Uno, and Harry. That's all I had really. Great laugh, just a whole day of just nothing, just completely like away from the whole world, and you just can't beat it really. I would take any day to go there for one more day just to do nothing. And then we ended the trip on my birthday in Bangkok, and I said I didn't really like the cities in Vietnam. Bangkok's just a completely different world. There's so much to do. You've got the Khao San Road, which I spent my 22nd birthday on, and it's like brilliant. And then did that last day hotel, and then we travelled home. So then 3 months on now, I'm here. I've been home for 3 months, and I've sort of got a new outlook on what I want to do in terms of occupation, travelling, and hopefully I can do that in the future.